The girl's cheeks are streaked with a little mud from the rain. The man cannot help clumsily reaching out to wipe it away for her. She innocently tilts her head slightly. Her eyes are as clear as a startled young deer, and in that moment, she crashes straight into the man's heart. This is a deeply moving love story, and it is also Jane Austen's most girlish and adorable heroine. Catherine is an ordinary farm girl from a small English town. She has 9 brothers and sisters. Though life is poor, it is happy and carefree. Since childhood, she has never shown any outstanding talent, but when she turns 15, she suddenly grows beautiful and charming, like a flower in full bloom. She also begins losing herself in the world of novels, using her rich imagination to experience all kinds of different lives. She longs for the day when she can become the heroine of a novel and have a wonderful story of her own. Then one day, her neighbors, Mr. and Mrs. Allen, need to go to Bath for medical treatment, so they decide to take her along and let her see the outside world. This is Catherine's first time traveling far from home. Her heart is both excited and nervous. As soon as they arrive in Bath, Mrs. Allen carefully chooses all kinds of outfits for her. With the maid's careful dressing, Catherine's beauty becomes even more striking, and even Mrs. Allen cannot help praising her. Then the two go to a ball together. There, because of her pretty face, Catherine is harassed by a lecherous man. Following the principle of avoiding trouble, she can only endure the discomfort and follow behind Mrs. Allen. Finally, they discover a tea room where people can rest. They walk through the crowd, find 2 empty seats, and hurriedly sit down, but strange looks come from all around them, and no one is willing to speak with them. At that time, Britain has many strict rules. Speaking to someone without a proper introduction is considered impolite. They can only look at each other in silence, feeling the awkwardness and coldness in the air. They even wait for a long time without anyone pouring them tea, and they are met with eye rolls and mocking laughter from a man and a woman. Catherine feels extremely embarrassed and pulls Mrs. Allen toward the exit, only to accidentally bump into a gentleman. Somehow, the gentleman's brooch catches on Mrs. Allen's dress. While removing the brooch, Mrs. Allen notices that he is a man of both good looks and fine manners, so she changes the subject and asks the gentleman to take a look at Catherine's gown. The gentleman also understands the meaning behind Mrs. Allen's words.
Miss Morland's gown is very pretty, though I don't think it'll wash well. I'm afraid it will fray.
He eases the atmosphere with a joke. Then he thoughtfully arranges a comfortable seat for them. After that, he goes to find the host of the party and helps introduce Mrs. Allen and Catherine. Once these basic formalities are completed, Henry can finally chat with Catherine at ease. Knowing that Catherine is a newcomer from out of town, he invites her to dance with him. As the music begins, a group of young people dance freely on the floor. This is Catherine's first dance after arriving in the city. Though she appears calm, she is still excited and nervous inside. But just as Catherine is immersed in the joy of the ball, the man from the tea room is secretly watching her again. Catherine feels a trace of unease and quietly asks Henry about the man's identity. Unfortunately, Henry does not know him either. After the dance ends, Henry in the crowd still smiles gently and asks what she will write in her diary tonight. Will she write that she wore a blue-trimmed muslin dress covered in leaves and branches, was invited to dance by one gentleman, and secretly admired by another?
Perhaps I don't keep a journal at all.
The long ball ends in playful teasing. On the way back, Mrs. Allen praises Henry endlessly, saying he is a well-bred gentleman. Catherine also makes no effort to hide her admiration for Henry, but Mr. Allen reminds them that they must be careful when making friends outside and should not trust strangers too easily. Mrs. Allen does not take this seriously and keeps speaking well of Henry. Mr. Allen says he has already asked around, and Henry is a clergyman from a respectable family.
Clergyman?
Well, no doubt you'd prefer him to be a brigand. His father's a man of consequence, though. General Tilney of Northanger Abbey.
Northanger Abbey? Is it haunted?
No doubt, no doubt. These abbeys usually are.
Mr. Allen also starts joking, and this perfectly matches Catherine's idea of the ideal hero from a novel. Although she says on the surface that she does not keep a diary, her actions reveal everything. The next day, while Catherine and Mrs. Allen are strolling around Bath, they unexpectedly meet a lady and her 3 daughters. The lady is the mother of one of Catherine's brother's classmates, and she has brought her daughters here in search of romance. When they hear that Catherine is James's sister, the eldest daughter, Isabella, immediately shows a warm smile. She says many affectionate things, hinting at her fondness for Catherine's brother. Catherine, still inexperienced in the world, has no guard against Isabella at all and soon treats her as a close friend. They browse bookstores together and savor the emotions in the books. From time to time, Isabella reveals bits of the plot to Catherine, making Catherine feel surprise or fear along with the story, as if she herself were inside it. They walk and chat until they hear someone by the roadside calling their names. But what Catherine never expects is that the man who had been staring at her that night is actually Isabella's brother, John. John invites them to attend a social gathering. At the gathering, John gets his wish and dances with Catherine, but Catherine is not fully absorbed in the dance. She keeps watching Henry's movements, just as she hoped. Henry is also at the gathering, holding the arm of a young girl and looking very close to her. Catherine's mood instantly sinks to the bottom, but when she hears Henry introduce the girl as his sister, her face immediately lights up again. She instantly becomes very talkative, telling Henry's sister many of Henry's good qualities, and the two quickly become friends. But an old man beside Henry shows displeasure toward Catherine. He is Henry's father, General Tilney. Henry's sister invites Catherine to take a country walk with her and her brother, and they agree to meet at noon the next day. Not far away, Isabella is happily chatting with James and several gentlemen. She quickly runs over and pulls Catherine away. Henry is holding 3 cups of pudding, wanting to give one to Catherine, only to find that she has already disappeared. At noon the next day, John and Isabella bring James to the Allen home, saying they want to take Catherine to visit Blaise Castle. Catherine apologetically says that she has already promised to walk with Henry and his sister, and she is still looking forward to Henry coming to pick her up. But John says he heard Henry telling a girl that he was taking her on a long walk. Seeing that her brother and best friend also join John's persuasion, Catherine finally gives in helplessly. On the road, they nearly run into Mr. Allen as he is crossing. Mr. Allen angrily calls John a scoundrel. John only laughs carelessly and casually talks with Catherine about Mr. Allen.
And rich as Croesus, or so I hear.
I believe Mr. Allen is very rich.
And no children at all?
No, none.
At that time, Catherine still does not know what this conversation means to John, but then she sees Henry and his sister coming to pick her up. Under their disappointed gaze, she keeps asking John to stop the carriage and let her get down, but John speeds out of town instead. John says they do not want Catherine having contact with Henry's notorious family. He also says that Henry's mother's death is tied to some unspeakable secret involving his father. Catherine is unwilling to believe John's words and thinks they are all nonsense, because Henry has given her the impression of being a gentle and refined gentleman.
You can set it all right tomorrow. Let's at least try and enjoy ourselves today. Damn it, I've been looking forward to driving you out more than anything. Come on, what do you say?
She has accepted John's invitation, planning to spend the day with them first and then explain to Henry why she missed the appointment. The next day, she sees Henry again at a social gathering. She hurries forward to apologize to him, but Henry's sister Eleanor has already sensed that something was wrong, and she believes a girl like Catherine would not miss an appointment for no reason. In the end, Catherine is forgiven by the siblings. She gets along very well with Henry and Eleanor, but Henry's father, General Tilney, and his brother, Captain Tilney, make her uneasy. The father and son look very alike, both with cold faces that make people feel intimidated. Strangely, however, the general treats Catherine very kindly and even encourages Henry to spend more time with her. Gradually, Catherine and Eleanor become the best of friends, but Catherine discovers that her close friend Isabella is somewhat hypocritical. Isabella becomes engaged to Catherine's brother James. James goes home to discuss the marriage with his parents, but as soon as James leaves, Isabella starts entangling herself with Captain Tilney. Yet Isabella swears that she only loves James, but when James returns and says his parents can only give them £400 a year, Isabella's true face is revealed. She says she does not care about money, only that she feels sorry for James, since £400 is too little. Then she suddenly asks Catherine whether childless Mr. Allen might help them. This confuses Catherine. Why would Mr. Allen help them? Before Catherine can understand what Isabella means, she hears that Henry's family is returning to Northanger Abbey. The general warmly invites her to visit, and Mr. and Mrs. Allen agree as well. This fills Catherine with excitement, because she can finally explore the mysterious, legendary Northanger Abbey. But before Catherine even enters the castle, the sight before her leaves her stunned. She sees a towering castle surrounded by thick stone walls, with a rippling blue lake outside the walls, as if it were a kingdom on water. Henry keeps telling her the history and legends of the castle from beside her. Catherine listens half-believingly, her heart both curious and nervous. When she arrives at Northanger Abbey and sees the general's face, she feels a strange rush of fear. That night, Catherine experiences the most terrifying sight of Northanger Abbey. Thunder roars, lightning flashes, and the whole castle seems as if it might be destroyed. Frightened, Catherine runs into her room. She discovers an old wooden chest by the bed, containing several yellowed pieces of parchment covered with words she cannot understand. Just as she wants to study them carefully, a cold gust of wind suddenly blows out the candle in her hand. So terrified, she quickly buries herself under the covers and does not dare peek out again. That day, the general says he has business to handle in town and hurriedly leaves Northanger Abbey. His departure seems to take away the gloom of the place, making Catherine feel a lightness and happiness she has never felt before. She plays in the orchard with Henry. Henry climbs a lush fruit tree and tosses down fresh fruit. Catherine and Eleanor catch the sweet fruit. Their laughter and dresses are filled with sweetness. At night, they sit around the fireplace. Henry's smile looks especially warm in the firelight. He says he wants to take Catherine to see the nearby parish, a place completely different from Northanger Abbey and one he loves very much. 2 horses riding side by side lead them across the green fields. There, Catherine sees Henry's small but peaceful home. The two inevitably get caught in the rain, but their spirits remain joyful and free, and this heavy rain brings out Catherine's clear eyes and lovely face even more. Henry keeps a certain distance as he carefully wipes the mud from her face. Their hearts have already drawn close to each other in quiet understanding. Later, whenever Catherine has free time, she also asks Henry about the secrets of Northanger Abbey. She wants to see his mother's room for herself, but Henry tells her that after his mother died, his father ordered the room sealed, and even he is no exception. Helpless, Catherine can only give up and stop asking about the sensitive subject. But one day, Henry has to return to the church to deal with matters, leaving only Catherine and Eleanor behind. Catherine seizes the chance to sneak into Henry's mother's room, hoping to find some clues. The entire room is covered in thick dust, and a portrait of Henry's mother hangs on the wall. But before Catherine can uncover any trace of a secret, Henry returns.
Might I ask how you come to be here all alone?
I wanted to see your mother's room.
If I understand you rightly, you have been suspecting my father of a crime so dreadful.
You said yourself the house was full of secrets.
And so you decided that my father must be a murderer.
Catherine is so frightened by Henry's anger that she has no idea what to do. She realizes she has done something wrong, confusing the plots of novels with reality, and this fills her with shame. But just as she falls into despair, she suddenly receives a letter from her brother James. In the letter, James tells her that Isabella has dumped him, and that she has been scheming after the captain all along. She wants to marry him and enjoy his wealth and status. Catherine had once believed that the captain might sincerely fall in love with Isabella. She can only feel sorry for her brother. If her own family were not so poor and struggling, perhaps none of this would have happened. But Eleanor says this to Catherine.
I doubt if the matter will reach his ears at all.
Why?
Your friend has dealt very badly with your brother, but I fear she is far out of her depth with mine.
Sure enough, after the captain gets Isabella's body, he abandons her.
Henry has the best and truest heart in the world.
Catherine smiles with some relief, thinking she must find a chance to explain everything clearly to Henry. But that very night, the general suddenly returns. He angrily wants to drive Catherine out of Northanger Abbey, and only has someone send her to the public coach station. And by coincidence, Henry is not there today. Eleanor is helpless too, not daring to disobey her father's order. Catherine thinks it is because she entered Henry's mother's room and angered the general, so she can only silently endure it all. Luckily, before they part, Eleanor stuffs all the money she has on her into Catherine's hands. Otherwise, Catherine would not be able to get home at all. Just like that, she is abandoned at the public coach station. All around her are strange and cold eyes. Her heart is filled with regret and pain. After a long journey of jolting and exhaustion, Catherine finally returns safely to that poor but warm little village. Catherine's mother is somewhat angry, but seeing her daughter safe and sound, she says nothing more. Afterward, Catherine throws her novels into the fire. Now she no longer believes in the conspiracies and fantasies in those stories, and only wants to live a simple and real life. But whenever her younger brothers and sisters ask about her experiences at Northanger Abbey, she remembers those painful memories and cannot help shedding tears.
Kathy? What is it?
I did love him. I do love him. Now I should never see him again, and it is all my own fault.
From then on, Catherine lives an ordinary and uneventful life, until one day, her younger sisters run in excitedly and tell her that a man riding a white horse has arrived. Catherine raises her head and sees the face she has missed day and night. Her heart races, and in an instant she does not know what to say. She wants to apologize, but Henry interrupts her and says that no matter what she said, she should never have been treated that way. He reveals a cruel truth to Catherine. It turns out the general was not angry because she entered his mother's room, but because he had been deceived by John. John once hinted to the general that Catherine was Mr. Allen's heir and would become the richest woman in the countryside. It was for this reason that the general supported his younger son Henry in pursuing Catherine, but when the general discovered he had been fooled by John, and that Catherine was only a clergyman's daughter, he became furious. He mercilessly drove Catherine out of Northanger Abbey. Henry feels utterly helpless about this. This is Henry's father, a man who values money and status above everything else. He once married Henry's mother for her property, but after the marriage, he never gave her even a trace of love or care. His coldness and cruelty robbed her of life, causing her to leave this world far too early. Henry feels anger and disappointment over what his father has done. He decides to cut ties with his father.
I told him that I felt myself bound to you, that nothing he could do could deter me from... Will you marry me, Catherine?